Chapter 31. A History of Violence. The rise of Rome, remove justice, and what are kingdoms but gangs of criminals on a large scale? What are criminal gangs but petty kingdoms? A gang is a group of men under command of a leader, bound by a compact of association, in which the plunder is divided according to an agreed convention. If this villainy wins so many recruits from the ranks of the demoralized that it acquires territory, establishes a base, captures cities, and subdues people, it then openly arrogates itself the title of kingdom, which is conferred on it in the eyes of the world, not by the renouncing of aggression, but by the attainment of impunity. The Romans believed that Romulus and Remus were the distant descendants of Aeneas, who wandered the Mediterranean with a small band of survivors after the ruin of Troy. These exiled Trojans, the few remaining ambassadors of a proud but defeated tradition, were guided by the gods to Latium, where they intermingled with the Latin people of Italy. The former Trojans thrived there and founded the settlement of Alba Longa, just southeast of modern Rome. Many generations passed, and the eldest son of each king took the throne until Amulius ousted his older brother Numitor. Amulius murdered Numitor's sons and forced his daughter Rhea Silvia to become a Vestal virgin, assuring that the exiled Numitor would have no heirs to challenge his own. However, Rhea gave birth to twin boys, and rather than admit an indiscretion, she claimed that they were fathered by Mars, the god of war. King Amulius didn't buy her story. He had her chained and ordered her sons to be drowned in the Tiber River. The men charged with this task left the boys exposed in the swampy shallows of the flooded river and assumed the current would carry them to their deaths. According to legend, it was there that they were rescued by a thirsty she-wolf and suckled on her hairy dugs. The grandsons of Numitor were then discovered by shepherds who took the boys in and raised them as their own. Thanks in part to a vigorous country life, Romulus and Remus grew into strong young men known for hunting and for fearlessly confronting wild beasts. They also gained a reputation for attacking robbers, taking their loot, and sharing it with all of their shepherd pals. The generous twins were also fun to be around, and their merry band grew. During a festival, they were ambushed by the bitter robbers, and Remus was brought before the king Amulius on poaching charges. While Remus was in custody, Numitor suspected who the twins really were. Meanwhile, Romulus organized his band of shepherds to kill Amulius and free his brother. The shepherds entered the city separately and gathered together at the last moment to overwhelm Amulius's guard. Romulus succeeded in killing the tyrant king, and after learning his true heritage, he restored the kingship to his grandfather Numitor. The reunited twins then decided to found a city together on the land where they were raised. However, the two men quarreled over its naming, and the dispute became heated. The brothers challenged each other, and in the end, Romulus triumphed, killing his beloved twin brother Romulus and his friends, then set to work organizing the government of the new city that bore his name. According to the historian Livy, one of the first things that Romulus did after making some rudimentary fortifications was to establish the religious rites that would be celebrated by the people of Rome. In addition to the rites honoring the local gods, Romulus chose to observe the Greek rites of the heroic godman Hercules, known for his great strength and for his virtuous deeds. After identifying a constellation of gods and setting a rough, spiritual course for his tribe, Romulus advertised the city of Rome an asylum where all men, freeborn or slave, could start a new life. A motley collection of immigrants from neighboring tribes traveled to Rome, and he selected the best men to help him rule. These men were made senators and designated fathers, patres, of the Roman tribe. Their heirs would be known as patricians. With the city fathers, he created order through law, The popular view in the political narrative and in the media is that we are helping the Muslim refugees. Islam is peaceful. We have to be compassionate and let them in. These are the words of our female leaders, our bonobo women leaders, who would be the first to go if violence were unleashed from inside of our country or if Sharia law took over. A record number of Swedish women have been raped by Muslim refugees, as Sweden has grown very relaxed, liberal, and progressive over the years. Sweden is a neutral country in war and used to have a decent military to defend its borders from neighboring superpowers like Russia, Britain, and Germany. But they have recently downsized their military. Good times create weak men create hard times. Now the women are getting raped from invading refugees from within. What's next? The Vikings were barbarians who sacked the empire. English city-states at the hands of Ivar the Boneless, who was a ruthless killer. We love, celebrate, and worship our killers, like Julius Caesar, and hate their killers, like Saddam Hussein, who is portrayed as a barbaric butcher of innocent lives. In the end, a killer is a killer. Killing is neutral. It's a means to an end. There are no real morals or ethics in war. There are rules of engagement such as don't shoot hostages. But the winners of wars shoot hostages just like the losers of wars. However, the winners are never war criminals. Only the losers are documented as unethical, amoral, and war criminals. The winners paint over their crimes with white paint and whitewash their dark war crimes. The winners paint over their crimes with white paint in the same way that the Americans whitewashed the charred White House after the British infiltrated the country and set fire to it. White paint can cover up a lot when it comes to history. The hypocrisy on killing is the us and them tribal high school football dynamic taken all the way. This is part of being human. No matter how hard we try to remove it and have world peace, it's never going away. It's a part of our biology and what makes us human. When it comes to our enemies, there are two sets of morals and ethics. When we kill, it's justified, and our enemies are subhuman. When they kill us, it's a crime. Unsophisticated groups of have-nots have always toppled technologically and socially advanced haves in the bloody pages of history over and over again. Instead of the Ivar the Boneless facing off against Alfred the Great, we have George Bush sending his crusaders in to fight Osama bin Laden. Instead of Julius Caesar and the Gallic tribes led by Vercingetorix, we instead have Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin blowing up Islamic fighters together in Syria. It's the same damn story over and over again, just with different names and different costumes. A man's duty is to do his work. Today we contract out all our society's killing to professional killers in the military, but we might have a time when men are called upon to make killing their work once again. If that time comes, the men who are strong men will have to step up to their temporary work, as has happened in history over and over again. Men would be farmers or factory workers in peacetime, and when the war sirens rang, they grabbed their swords or rifles and marched into battle to defend their land, women, children, and way of life. If your tribe, your society, your group required you to kill, would you do it? Could you do it? Do you have the killer instinct that the barbarian on the other end of the gun barrel has? He wants to kill you and take everything you have ever loved, cherished, and valued. Who pulls the trigger first? In a man-to-man fight, the winner is he who has one more round in his magazine. Erwin Rommel, German field marshal in World War II, the leader of the Afrika Korps and the Desert Fox, from his book Infantry Attacks. History is full of examples of sophisticated empires that were born out of violence, killing, and slavery. Men were made strong in the hard times of birthing a nation, and as they grew rich, fat, complacent, and tolerant, they became weak and docile on the way down. These empires never considered that the unsophisticated barbarians on the fringes would ever break through the gates and bring back the violence, killing, and slavery that their prosperity was built upon. Primitive barbarians could never hurt us, right? Say the weak men safely behind the city walls. Pride comes before a fall.